We are back with another mock draft today, and this is a little lower than I like it to be. But regardless, we are back with another mock draft today. Today we'll be reviewing Gennaro's Filice 2026 NFL mock draft 2.0. Cowboys and Chiefs shake up the top 10 with two trades. I just saw the thing, and if you pause it or rewind and go back to it, you already know what the deal is. So, there's no need to beat around the bush. We're going to start off with the easiest pick here. We're going to go Fernando Mendoza, quarterback out of Indiana. Easiest pick. I'm not going to spend that much time on it. Not crazy great tools, but it's a solid pick. I don't know why people like to harp on him going here. I don't think he's the best QB prospect I've ever seen, but he is still a good prospect regardless. So I don't dislike it whatsoever. The Jets go Aubrey Reese, linebacker out of Ohio State. Not a bad option. This is team fits schematically the most. He played 59-49% of his snaps off ball and on ball. He has that versatility. They have had insurance plans with his team signing Demario Davis as a linebacker that they can eventually help develop him more as on the linebacker side as well. He's also a good edge. So if he doesn't pan out edge as well as people expect him to be, maybe he is more of a linebacker, which is fine. You don't usually take an off-ball linebacker, so he primary his linebacker number 2, but his edge presence was really good, and I don't dislike taking Reese here. So if you like Reese here, you're gonna take Reese. Not a bad option whatsoever. The Cowboys trade up and take David Bailey, Texas Tech edge. Not a bad option. I mean, listen, this is what historically the Cowboys go with, and I think this is historically what teams like, organizations like more, which is more of that speed rusher type player, where it's not like someone who is insanely strong and someone who has insanely amount of strength characteristics. Sometimes they just like the speed more, and historically the Cowboys have gone for that. You've seen with Dominic Azuruku, even Michael Parsons is considered more of a speed rusher, which I do think he has pretty good strength, and he's obviously an elite NFL player. So that was a big consideration too. And David Bailey has had multiple schemes where he's played. Obviously at Stanford he played outside linebacker. At Texas Tech he played a traditional 4-3. So I wouldn't say traditional actually, because 3-4 is used a lot, but he is playing more of a traditional edge rushing role at Texas Tech. And yes, there is a lot of versatility with him, but I think I prefer more as an edge. I wouldn't say there's a lot of versatility. He's either playing a 3-4 or 4-3, and you're playing him for edge. And teams seem to like this speed rusher type archetype, and even if he isn't the most sound prospect, I don't think he's the most sound prospect in my personal opinion. Even if he's not the most sound prospect, people will probably like to take the upside, and hopefully he can develop his strength, because his strength is very marginal, if not inconsistent. It gets a little concerning sometimes, but if you take Texas Tech here, Texas Tech edge here, not bad option whatsoever. Titans go Sonny Styles, linebacker of Ohio State. This is interesting. I've thought about this. I mean, it's not a bad pick, and for God's sakes, I love Sonny Styles as a prospect, so I don't dislike Sonny Styles. Maybe there's better options on the board. Biggest, it's like the elephant thing that says "address me." Let's talk about Ruben Bay. And yesterday, or I think it was yesterday, something came out where he was involved in a not reckless driving, I think it was reckless driving or some sort of accident, and the player, not the player, the player Ruben Bain, and his I don't know who it was, a friend or something, or someone he knew, was in the car and died, and was in a 3-month coma and died after he got into a reckless car accident. There was no foul play involved. There was nothing really like bad. It was just kind of like just an accident. Accidents happen. Do I think this would drop his draft stock? I don't know. I don't think so, but it's not going to make him view more differently as a player, because he's told organizations this. It'd be different if he was hiding it, if he was kind of ashamed of it, if he was like, yeah, I did it, and it not like I did it, like he's confessing to it, but like, yeah, it happened, like it happened, and it happens. Like, accidents happen on the road. I mean, that's kind of the risk of driving. There's never a 100% chance you make it to your other destination. I'm not trying to scare anyone from driving, or someone who's driving about to drive somewhere. I don't want to scare you, but there's no guarantee you'll make it to the other destination. I mean, it's a very low possibility you'll actually get into a car crash and, God forbid, die. But sometimes accidents happen, and that's the biggest thing. And even if I don't know why his draft stock would fall because of this. It seemed to be an accident. His family, the girl's family, the girl who passed away, seemed to say it's nothing that Ruben Bain did. It's just an accident. It just happened. So I wouldn't really say it's his fault. But regardless, Sonny Styles goes here. He can play a Fred Warner-esque role as Feliciano highlights here, and it can be a good area where they kind of invest long term into him. So I don't dislike taking him here, but definitely there's interesting areas, and the board isn't falling too bad to the point where say Sonny Styles is a lock here. So it's not bad. I mean, I don't think so. Giants go Jeremiah Love, running back out of Notre Dame. I don't know how well I feel about this. Jeremiah Love, don't get me wrong, I love Jeremiah Love as a prospect. This team has way more needs. This team has brought in a defensive tackle to talk to. I think it was this former Seahawks defensive tackle, I think DJ Reader. I think this Dexter Lawrence situation is getting a little concerning, but I don't know. I don't know if I feel comfortable taking Jeremiah Love here. I think there's better needs. I like Downtor. I like Tate more. And Styles is off the board, so maybe not Styles. Bain doesn't make sense. Delane isn't a bad pick. McCoy isn't a bad pick. Like, I don't know if I feel about Jeremiah Love, but like, I wouldn't be upset because it's just not a positional need. And even with the positional need, like, he's the best positional running backer. There's other tiers with the same type of player in terms of not skill, but in terms of like value, where sometimes you want to go there because I think Downs is the best player in this class, in my personal opinion. Jeremiah Love is top 3 for me, but Jeremiah Love has let's get the whatever, it doesn't fit for the Giants, whatever. We're gonna just talk about Jeremiah Love. He has good one cut ability. He has absolute home run threat ability. I just watched some highlights of him, I think today or yesterday, and goddamn is he good. I mean, I love him as a prospect. I mean, I can't really knock him for that. And if the Giants get him, they get a stud and another weapon for this team. He's really good in the pass game too. He has a pretty good contact balance, really good vision. He always seems to fight for the extra 1 or 2 yard. Again, like elite running backs. He's already a very well-rounded prospect, and I think he's one of the elite running backs we've seen. Like he's like that elite running back. Like every year there's an elite running back. Last year was Genty. There was obviously Saquon, Zeke, Bijan, even Gibbs to an extent. And I think Jeremiah Love can join those tiers of running backs where he's one of the elite coming out of the draft and very few concerns as a prospect. So I don't dislike it. We're going to move on to the next pick with the Chiefs taking Ruben Bain Jr., edge out of Miami, Florida. I think Spagnuolo would love this type of fit. And obviously I brought up the whole car crash situation, which I would be shocked if it had him dropping that much. But Ruben Bain also is just going this range. I mean, this is not very drop worthy. And I guess we'll see once we get close to the draft and see how organizations actually played out and if insiders make changes. But I don't dislike taking Bain here, mainly because George Kalafdis has been fine. He's been fine with the value. Got him pick 31 or 32, like very early 30s. So like you're not really expecting him to be a absolute monster game wrecker. With Ruben Bain, if you're taking him and investing this much, you're expecting him to be a monster game wrecker. And I think he can be. And I think he already is in some facets. He's an elite pass rusher. He's solid on the run. He's really solid on the run. He doesn't give up on a play, which I like the most on his tape, which stood out to me the most. I don't think people talk about enough. His play like motor throughout the entire play was really good, and I think I like that a lot for them. So I don't just like taking Ruben Bain here. We're gonna move on to the next pick with the Commanders taking Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State University. I like Caleb. I really do. And I think Caleb has one of the most surefire tackling ability in this entire draft class, mainly because he's just solid and he's instinctual. He is very, very good in the box. He's honestly has versatility, more versatility than people like to give him credit for. And I think if the Commanders can use him more as a joker more than anything, he can really thrive in the NFL. And I think regardless, if you just keep him in the box primarily, which isn't a very valuable position, but he's that good where he's going to make it valuable, he'll be good regardless. But I think he's literally like, I think my best word or best comparison is to be like a joker. Like, in a deck of cards, there's obviously the ace, all that shit, ace through 12. He's the joker. He can play any of those cards. He can do anything. And I think he's just so good at tackling that like he will have a really high floor in the NFL regardless coming in. And I think the upside is bigger than some people like to admit. And I like him a lot here. This team does need safety. I don't dislike it. And especially with how the board's falling, Caleb Downs is probably the best player available. Well, he always is for me, but in this scenario, he is. Saints take Mansour Delane corner out of LSU. I like Mansour a lot. I think Mansour can be a good team player for this team. After losing Alontae Taylor, I think that him next to Kool-Aid McKinstry won't be a terrible pairing. It really won't. And Mansour is a real dog. I mean, he's really good. He's a really good pick, and he is a little bit on the smaller side, but I think people might like to think he's better than just a small corner. And it won't be a bad fit. He can be a real boundary corner. Not bad tape in 2025. Actually, really good tape in 2025. Don't dislike it whatsoever. The Browns go Carnell Tate, wide receiver out of Ohio State University. I think Carnell Tate would be amazing. They trade back and get their guy at number 9. Not a bad option. I mean, it really isn't. And the thing with Carnell Tate is that I don't think he's an elite athlete whatsoever. I don't think he's going to be like, I don't know, who's an elite athlete coming out of college. I don't know, Malik Neighbors, I guess. I don't know. So I don't think he's an elite athlete. His speed isn't. You're not taking him for his speed. He ran a 4.58, which is a slow combine, slow for his standards. Not even his standards. So for someone who's going this high, in the top 10, people will probably want to see a 4-4, maybe even 4-3 range for a wide receiver. But I don't really think you're taking it for speed. And people were saying, oh, he's gonna fall now because he ran a 4.48 or 4.58. Oh no, he's not. And the main reason is because he has elite route running. He has really good separation. He is really good over the top, which I really like. His hands are as good as they get. He's a solid player, and he has really taken a step forward and a leap forward once the entire Ohio State room started to declutter, with the exception of Jeremiah Smith. So he was also really good. Speaking of Jeremiah Smith, he was also really good next to Jeremiah Smith. So how much better can it really get? I like it. I like it. Bengals taking Jamal McCoy, Tennessee out of corner out of Tennessee. I feel like I've said that before. Tennessee out of corner for Jamal McCoy, but regardless, he did run a 4.38 4-yard dash on the team for his pro day, and I think this team could use a real boundary corner. He's probably one of the best, if not the best boundary corner, maybe beside Mansour. But his tape, I will say this with confidence, his tape in 2024 was better than Mansour's in 2025. And I will say this with my chest. I love Jamal McCoy. I think he had pretty good reps against Jeremiah Smith. It wasn't elite tape, but Jeremiah Smith is also a generational prospect. So we will talk about that in a couple months. But Jamal McCoy is also a very, very good player. And I think people need to start maybe being a little concerned. I wouldn't say need to start being a little concerned, but people might be a little bit concerned with the coming off his ACL injury. I don't think the pro day is like alleviating all fears. No, all the fears are gone and poof, it's gone like pixie dust in the wind, right? I don't think that's going to happen, mainly because he still has an ACL injury. You haven't seen him in pads in over a year, and pads and tape is the biggest thing. And you're not going to see how good he is until he's actually on the football field. And you can say, oh, he's going to be elite now because he ran a 4.38 in his pro combine. And I've been guilty of that. I've been guilty of saying, now he's a certified top 10 lock because of his pro day. I don't think so. I really don't. So I like Jamal McCoy. I do. I definitely can see him rising. I definitely can see him falling. But this is honestly a solid range, and this team does need a corner. So it's not unrealistic at all. Dolphins take Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. Not a bad option either. I think the Mekhi Lemon would be an amazing pick for this team. I think Mekhi Lemon could fit this team as well, especially after getting rid of Jalen Waddle. And they have Malik Washington, Tutu Atwell, and Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert was one of the guys, the Cowboy guy I forgot a couple of videos ago when I was struggling. Jalen Tolbert was a big guy. Malik Washington's a wide receiver 1. I think Tutu Atwell was listed wide receiver 3/slot, and Jalen Tolbert was wide receiver 2, or he was maybe slot. I don't know. Regardless, it's not a very impressive wide receiver room. And Malik Willis will be throwing to plumbers if he doesn't have a wide receiver in the first 3 picks of his draft. They have pick 43, obviously pick 30, which they acquired from giving Jalen Waddle to the Broncos, and then pick 11, which they got from just sucking this year. But if you take Mekhi Lemon here, you get another quarterback connection that you like, another weapon. This team could use him. He's not the most elite wide receiver. You can play on the inside or the outside. I prefer more on the outside, but you can play on the inside. But I think he'll probably be playing outside in this certain scenario. If he's going to the Rams or something, he'll probably play on the inside. But if he's going to someone like the Dolphins, he's probably going to play on the outside because that wide receiver room is not very good. So he's really good in between the hashes. He's really good catching. He's really fearless. It's a solid pick. And even though there are character concerns out of the combine, there was no big character concerns. I was concerned at USC, so I don't think this is that big of a deal. So the Cardinals go Francis Manoa, offensive tackle out of Miami, Florida. Not a bad option. With how they traded back, I mean, they're presumably going to take him at 3 unless they take like an edge rusher like Bain or Bailey at 3, or Reese if he falls. But I think Manoa is not a bad option regardless. I think Manoa can fit this team really well. I don't know. I think he's a solid prospect. He's strong. It's not a bad option. I don't think it's the best player available. I really don't, but it's not a bad option to take that guy there. The Rams take Casey Conception, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. This is interesting. I like Casey Conception, and he admits that this is a bit of a curveball. And Casey Concepcion is a very good player. I really like him. And even with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams both being inconsistent, mainly Puka Nacua now, it's a little bit more of a concern with his rehab and his off-the-field antics sometimes. But he seemed to get rehab and he seemed to keep betting himself. And I don't think Puka Nacua is like a loose cannon anyways. He just had a bad stretch and the media covered it because it's 2026. The media loves covering this shit. So he did have a bad stretch, which he made a mature decision to go to rehab. All the best, bro. I'm really hoping you come back even better. But Casey Concepcion goes here. He could play that slot role once Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are eventually there in the playoffs. Even during the regular season too, because I don't think Nacua or Devontae Adams would be out for that long. But if you take Casey Concepcion here, you get someone who has good punt returning, good special teams aspect to. And their special teams was really bad last year. I mean, they've lost games due to the special teams, so it's not a bad option to take Casey Conception here. Maybe alleviate that special teams fear, and also just a really good receiver who can play literally anywhere. I think I prefer more the slot on this team. Like I've said, it's definitely fits on the schematic area, but it would take Casey Conception here. Definitely play on the inside. Really good contested ball catcher for his size. He has decent hands. I mean, it's not like elite hands, and he has drop issues, but I think I'm willing to work with that. And even with his drop issues, I think the speed and the tape is just so good to the point where I feel comfortable even taking my pick 13. So I don't dislike taking Casey Conception here. Ravens take Spencer Fano, interior offensive line / offensive lineman out of Utah University. Listen, I like Spencer Fano a lot. I mean, he fits this Declan Doyle type scheme where it's that a bunch of swing tackles. You've seen Joe Tooney. You've seen it a lot, and you've seen how Declan Doyle has used these swing tackle roles and how versatile his offensive linemen are. I think this fits the team a lot, and it won't be a bad option to take Spencer Fano here, mainly because he is just a really good player, and I think his speed is unmatched compared to some of these other prospects. His idea to getting downhill too is very good. I think he's on par with Modern Feeling, maybe a little lower, but I do like his speed. And his strength is also not the best, but it's not bad to the point where I feel uncomfortable taking him here at 14. It's a really good pick, and this team has lost Filice, and they need a guard, and they did sign John Simpson, but I think that guard spot is still a little bit vacant, and I think they can definitely work on that. And I think the board is too good for Spencer Fano to go off a little bit, so I don't dislike taking Spencer Fano here whatsoever. The Bucks take Vega Ione, Penn State guard. I like Vega Ione here. He would probably be taking over Barton. I think he'll be taking over Barton. And I listen. I like Vega Ione, and he's one of the strongest offensive linemen, if not the strongest in this class, maybe beside Maui Noah. But as the pure guard, he's the best guard and the fastest. Not the fastest, the strongest. He's not the fastest, but I don't dislike taking him here. He makes sense. It's not a very flashy pick. Like I don't dislike taking the pick here. And honestly, I prefer this over Country Folk. I'm gonna be honest. I prefer Messidor or Ione over Folk, and that's my general opinion. But that's my options with the Bucks. We're gonna go New York Jets here with Jordan Tyson, Arizona State wide receiver. He is very injury prone, and I know people like to like his skill set. Trust me, I like his skill set too. I think in terms of skill set, he's probably the best wide receiver. The problem is he is very, very injury prone. He's literally it's like the SpongeBob gif of that guy walking with the gigantic cast around him, and it sucks. But like I don't know, man. Like it sucks. It sucks. But he's really good. I hope his talent doesn't get wasted due to injury. And if he's on the field, he's going to be one of the best receivers in this draft class, even not the best receiver in this draft class. Problem is his injuries, and it's lingering issues like hamstring injuries that last 3 months, or it's an ACL injury that takes him on an entire year. Like it's unlucky, but it's also just like his body might not be made for it. So that's a food for thought, but I don't dislike him going here because his team does need a wide receiver regardless. So not a bad option for that team. Detroit Lions take Blake Miller, offensive tackle out of Clemson University. Listen, I like Blake Miller. I don't think I like him this high. I think I like him more as day 2. I wouldn't mind taking a team taking a chance on him like early day 2, maybe very, very late day 1. I don't like him here. This team, I know they have had Penei Sewell is going back to left tackle. Dan Campbell said that. I would honestly, if I was this team, and if this is my mock draft and I was the general manager for the Detroit Lions, I would be picking Modern Feeling or Caleb Lewin might be a little bit of reach. Ken Proctor, I would honestly prefer Ken Proctor with the amount of upside he has, and it seems like a Dan Campbell style offensive lineman who's a big guy who can get downhill and is very, very big. You can teach his frame, but Blake Miller is fine. Like there is lapses. If you watch the 2024 Texas game, there is a lot of issues there, and he has had a lot of bad issues. So, listen, if you like Blake Miller, I mean, kudos to you. I don't. Vikings take Dylan Thielen, safety out of Oregon. Listen, I love Dylan Thielen. I really do. And he is just one of the best turnover-prone safeties in the draft class. And the main reason is it's just this team needs a real weapon. And Brian Flores can use him as a real weapon in that secondary. And he's so instinctual. Like I said, that Oregon Penn State interception, where he sealed the deal, that was one of the best interceptions I've seen him go on tape, and that was one of my favorite interceptions I've ever seen in an overtime game. So I like it a lot. He jumps up and he literally just snags it, and that's what I want for my safety. I want someone who can have good turnover prone ability. I like it a lot, and I think Dylan Thielen would be pretty good for this team. And even if he doesn't fall here, I mean, if he does, just take him. I mean, it's not a bad option. Carolina Panthers take Kenyon Sadiq, Oregon tight end. Again, not a bad option. I think Kenyon Sadiq can be a real mismatch for this team. Another weapon for Bryce Young. And you've seen Bryce Young maximize his weapons. And I don't think he's an elite quarterback where he he alleviates the talent around him where it makes it seem like the talents are better. I think he's on the same level as his talent where if he has a good amount of talent, he will be pretty good, but sometimes if he doesn't, he might struggle. And you saw that, but you got him an offensive rookie of the entire McMillan. You got someone who, Jalen Coker, who's honestly a really solid pick, who had a really good latter half of the season. If you get someone like Kansas City in a pretty weak tight end room, someone there I don't think anyone is really tied into long term. You get Kansas City, who's not a prolific blocker, but a crazy good in terms of stretching the field and actually getting downfield in athleticism, is a really good pick. And I think I'm willing to sacrifice the blocking for his home run threat ability in his hands and his athleticism. So I like a pick. Whoa, the Arizona Cardinals take Tyrod Simpson, Alabama quarterback. So they trade with the Cowboys. And this is interesting to talk about. I don't know if the Cowboys would just be out of the first round. That's their only first round pick. Is pick 3. So Ty Simpson is gone here. I think this is a very realistic possibility. I don't know if it's realistic to the Packers, or sorry, to the Cowboys / Packers pick, but it is realistic. I think the Cardinals can like Ty Simpson enough to the point where they trade up to get him. It's the value is where do you get him and how much do you give up. You seen last year what you saw with Jackson Dart getting traded to the Texans, traded up and getting selected in the Texans slot. So I think Ty Simpson can be like similar to like Jackson Dart in that scenario where he gets picked. So I mean, I'm not a gigantic fan of Ty Simpson. That was my idea. I wasn't a gigantic fan of Jackson Dart coming out of school. I was part of the consensus where I was like, his arm talent is an elite, his frame is small, and it's a little bit of reach. And Ty Simpson might be the same. His arm talent is elite, his frame is a little bit smaller, but he's a big competitor. He's literally just like, I wouldn't say he's just like Jackson Dart, but like I've seen similar traits in Jackson Dart that I do Ty Simpson. So I don't dislike taking Ty Simpson here. And if you like your team and you're picking for the most important position in football, maybe you just take him. The Steelers take Keenan Proctor, offensive lineman out of Alabama. He is going to be a big part of the team if he gets picked here. Mainly, I like him more at left guard more than left tackle. I think Broderick Jones, you should give him a little bit more leeway. If he doesn't work out, you move Keenan Proctor, who played left tackle in college, to Broderick Jones' spot. It's a simple insurance plan. And I know Keenan Proctor is the most surefire pick ever. His technique is lacking, and sometimes I feel like the lapses get really bad. But I prefer him more than someone like Blake Miller. I prefer him more than someone like I don't know, just Blake Miller. Fucking. I don't know. I just don't like Blake Miller this high. But you take Keenan Proctor, you get a tremendous upside, and you can just move him to guard and be a swing tackle role. Not a bad option. Even if you don't like Broderick Jones long term, you can just replace him and get another guard later on. Not a bad option. This team does have a big need at guard after Samalu left. Chargers take Keldrick Folk, Auburn edge. I don't know how I feel about this. Even with Khalil Mack signing again with just a 1-year deal, maybe we just take something else and hope for a better edge class next year. This edge class next year is actually really good. If you take Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart, names that come off the top of my head, but maybe take Keldrick Folk here, maybe for his rush stopping ability. I don't know how I feel about this. I think the board isn't that good enough to the point where I feel fine taking Keldrick Folk. I think Killone wasn't bad, especially with the left tackle issues with Slater and Alt. But Keldrick Folk isn't a terrible pick. I prefer him here than the Bucks, so I guess not. Philadelphia Eagles take a key master edge out of Miami. Listen, it might make sense, but this team does run a 3-4, so maybe Akeem Azar isn't slotted as well. Maybe you can take over for David Njoku. I've mocked him here, and sometimes it just doesn't fit schematically, but sometimes the Eagles just don't care about the red flags and don't care about the schematic fit. They just go straight for it, and it's a very Eagles pick. Someone who can provide instant edge production, and it's someone who can be a real instant productor for this team, and this team isn't building for youth anymore. I mean, this team had a just underwhelming season to their standpoints. They got first round, I think. I think they got out on the wild card, and they probably want some more edge rushing. I don't think it's terrible. And I think they can use another edge rusher here. So I'm not a gigantic hater of that. The Browns take Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle out of Georgia. So they somehow find a way to get Tate and Freeling, which would be a historic draft class for the Browns, because that would be not historically bad like the Browns are used to. It's gonna be historically good, because I like Monroe Freeling a lot. I really do. I think people need to start. Like, he is a very intriguing prospect, right? He hasn't played a lot. He hasn't produced a lot. He's a big draft riser for some reason. I like him. I watched his tape. I liked him. I didn't really see him get real buzz until like December, January time. But as soon as I was put onto game, I realized game recognizes game. To quote the key master pick, game recognizes game, and I like his game. And he gets downhill so quickly. He moves so fast for his speed. I just like, I feel in love. Like, I don't know. I just like him as a prospect. That's the whole prowess. And it might be a stupid pick. I can definitely see this not working out. But shit, what if it does? Bears go Malcolm Warren safety out of Toledo. Listen, I like Malcolm Warren a lot, and he's not an elite athlete. He didn't blow it out of the water at the combine, but he's a really solid player who can help some run stopping defense, which they had a problem with. And this team has a big need at safety after even signing Kobe Bryant, but they also let go of Jaquan Brisker and Kevin Byard. So I think someone else to replace him won't be a bad option. You get your safety secondary for at least the next 3 years because Kobe Bryant signed a 3-year deal. So if you take Kobe Bryant and Anthony Warren, you get 2 cornerstone safeties, and that safety room is just officially even more young and even better than before. The Bills take Cassius Howell, Texas A&M edge. I don't like this. I think this team, I know people always compare him to Nick Bonino and Jonathan Cooper. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this because Nick Bonino doesn't have that short of an arms. Let's see how short Nick Bonino's arms are. I don't really know how short they are, but I don't think it's as short as Cassius Howell. See, Nick Bonino is 32.5 inches, which is pretty not good, but Cassius Howell is 30 and 1/4. Like that's a 2-inch difference, right? Maybe two and a quarter. I think I'm not no math guy, but 2 1/4. I think. I don't know. He's not very high in the terms of percentile. I don't think I've seen anybody draft in the first round with his arm length, and that's going to be a big part into what teams like. Teams really care about arm length. That's why people have Ruben falling mainly because of his arm length. I mean, he's not a bad prospect. I mean, there's concerns of him finishing plays, but he's not a bad prospect other than his arm length and maybe his occasional whiffs on when getting to the quarterback. But Cassius Howell just has unreal arm length, right? He's 30 and 1/4. That's not good. And you've never really seen anybody with that ever really go in the first round. So I don't know how I feel about that. The 49ers go Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle out of Utah. This is not a bad option, not a bad insurance plan for this team. This team has been kind of hinting at that they're done with Trent Williams and that they're over him. I definitely can't see that happening, but I definitely think that taking Caleb Lomu here is not a bad option per se. So if you take Caleb Lomu here, it makes sense. I don't dislike it. Houston Texans takes Maxine Archer, Arizona State tackle. I actually like this more than I do some other players. I definitely think there's no defensive tackles gone yet. I think defensive tackle Peter Woods or McDonald makes the most sense here regardless. But Maxine Archer's not a bad developmental tackle they can build for in the future. And this team did have a glaring hole at tackle. So it's not a bad option to take Maxine Archer, but maybe you go something else with the board being as bad as it is, or as interesting as it is. But maybe it's not a terrible idea. The Chiefs take Colton Hood, corner out of Tennessee. Not a bad option. I think this team did lose Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson, but it's not a bad option to invest into Colton Hood, who's not a bad player. If they get Hood and Bain, not a bad job whatsoever. I like it. Dolphins take TJ Parker, Clemson edge. TJ Parker is not the most renowning in terms of athleticism, even production sometimes, but he's a really good player. I think people need to give him the credit for that. He's not a bad option. I think this team could really use someone like TJ Parker who can be a real cornerstone. He's not the best edge rusher in the world, but he can get to the quarterback. He has really good size. He's not a bad option, and I think with numbers down, and maybe you can buy low on him right now. Patriots get Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver out of Indiana University. I think people need to start understanding that Omar Cooper Jr. was in a very run-heavy offense. Even though they had a first overall pick, he was in a very run-heavy offense, and he produced a lot. He almost had 1,000 yards. I think he maybe didn't have. No, I think he had 975 or something. He had a bunch of yards in a very run-heavy offense, and had really good tape to show for it. He's really good on the contact balance. He's going to be slotting in to whatever team needs him, especially with Romeo Doubs on the outside. He can probably play on the inside, play on the slot, play on the outside. He can be very versatile for whatever team gets him. In this case, it is the Patriots. He's not a bad option for this team. I like it a lot. Seahawks take Avon Terrell, corner out of Clemson. This is not another bad option. I mean, Avon Terrell has been falling in some mock drafts mainly because strained his hamstring, and that's a big issue if teams can't have him reliable injury history. So if you take Avon Terrell here, not a bad option to take him real feisty corner and go draw the ball loose. And this team will have an amazing 2-safety aggressive duo with Terrell and Witherspoon, so it's not a bad option whatsoever. And that is the video. Thank you guys for watching. It's a little bit of a short video. It's only 30 minutes. I've recorded for only 30 minutes, but sometimes teams don't or mock drafts don't really take that long to explain, because this mock draft was honestly not, I wouldn't say flawless, but it wasn't terrible. Like, other than the Cassius Howell pick, I liked it, and it was a good amount of trades too, so it wasn't boring. It was a solid mock draft, and I don't think I have anything really bad to say about it. So thank you all for watching. That's basically it. See you guys in the next one. Peace out.